So I want to do this video. It's the 26th of September, el 26 de septiembre. Tomorrow I leave for the Dominican Republic and I'm really excited. I feel like this is a trip of a lifetime, an amazing opportunity, and I feel like I'm allowing myself to open up to the infinite possibilities, to allow love to fill my space, my being, and even beyond that. It's also an opportunity for me to step into my feminine energy. I feel like I was so closed off to it for so long that, I'm finally willing and able and open to receive. And so I'm really looking forward to it. So, wow, this man wants to pee right there. But anyways, I feel like part of the healing journey is allowing yourself to be embraced and held in the energy that, for me, is the masculine energy outside of myself. Because I feel like I clothed myself in that energy and I cultivated that energy very strong within myself. However, I feel like now it's, externalizing and it's coming to me without me having to overexert myself, without having me to do too much of my part. Things are flowing. It's being in my vortex, being in alignment with myself, my true self, allowing me to live and feel all of those parts of me that I had to keep dormant because I thought I was too insecure, that it wasn't safe enough for me to really unleash those parts of myself. And so now that I've come into union externally with an energy that really allows me to be, it is liberating as fuck. I'm just like, what? Like, I feel like even a year ago, I would have never felt this amount of energy. I didn't feel safe enough to share my story. I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin. And it was really the healing journey that took me here, that placed me here. A year ago, I would not be wearing this. I wouldn't feel comfortable enough to do that. Like, what? Why the Fer? Oh, and a year ago, I wasn't calling myself Fer. It was still Anna or Fernanda. So, like, those are little and bits and pieces of me that I'm cultivating within myself, and that it's not just I'm gonna go get myself a man. I'm not doing this for nobody else but my goddamn self, because I feel good in it and I feel confident in what I do and what I say and what I wear and everything, because I'm being true to my goddamn self, and I'm not here to put up a facade for nobody. And I, like, literally in the essence of it all, like, I'm just being my damn self. Like, and if you're bothered, look the other way, right? And Like I said, a year ago, I would have never, ever felt this amount of balance and alignment. I feel like everything has come really full circle. You know, as I reach this new season, this new Libra season, entering it, well, basically Libra is the second house in my natal chart. So for me to be speaking on it, it definitely is very important. It's very important. The way that I'm self-expressing, the way that I'm finding balance within myself to externalize it into some sort of monetary gain, because essentially I want to be able to help others heal, because that's who I am and that's what I'm here to do. And so, you know, I have my website, fersobeka.org. I'm eventually going to be doing one-on-one counsel with people. I'm going to have discovery calls, you know, where we hop on a call and I get to kind of know what your needs are. You kind of let me know how you feel about what I'm offering, you know, what I can get better at. And also offering like group connection calls. I haven't decided the platforms. And then a self-help journal. And so all of these things essentially are the manifestation of me coming into balance within myself. And so that's basically, you know, what this whole situation, what this whole like experience is really coming to be. And to sum it up, that's all it's been, right? Like the whole purpose of me moving to Playa was just that, was to find myself. Like, yo, I was taken out of my home country at a young age without any decision. It was out of my hands, basically, right? I didn't take any part in that decision. I'm very grateful for the opportunity because my mentality is so much more different. My economic stance is very different. I have so much more advantages because I'm bilingual, right? I have a education, I have a profession, and so it's a lot different, right? However, I still had to come heal that part of me that was taken away, which was my culture. And even further than that, coming back to heal that part of myself that didn't get a chance to make that decision, like, oh, okay, so now that I'm an adult, I can make that sound decision of whether or not I want to live here, there, or wherever the fuck, honestly, at this point in life. And so I just, you know, wanted to kind of clarify that. I wanted to, you know, share this part of my journey, right? I mean, it's not that I don't want to overshare, but I also feel that there's, you know, sometimes I have to have a filter. And that's why I really do encourage people to check on my blog, because my blog is really self-expression in its entirety, where I really do express some of the darkest moments, right? So again, muchas gracias. Like always, peace and love. So, I made it to the Miami airport, and I got me some Cuban food. Before I eat though, I really want to speak on something. So I think this is part of like the inner growth that I've had, and the transformation that I'm like going through. But I've been experiencing like me having to set boundaries and like cut people off, or like just step away from people who don't necessarily fit where I'm trying to go, and aren't in alignment with who I truly am, right? And so with that being said, I just recently had an incident, and it's really not an incident, it's just like a test, and it really broke my heart, like, and I cried because it was painful to see that in order for you to realize my worth, I have to step away. Whereas like somebody should always value you, you know. There should never be any question as to, you know, like the value that you give to others, the effort that they are willing to provide you, the time, the energy that they're offering you, right? So in this instance, like so I, you know, like I told you, like I am on this journey, and going to meet my other half, right? Like, and so I have to respect myself, and I have to also not have to, but I'm also respecting my partner and saying like, no, like I may have fucked with you before, but like that's not the case anymore, right? And in this instance, like this person, like I moved closer to this person, didn't see them very much. I could count the times on my fingers on one hand. And so now that, you know, they're aware of me moving on and going to explore and like starting a new journey, then they want to come in, right? I'm very sensitive, and it really triggered and like got my little heartstrings going, and it was very painful for me to sit there and witness somebody basically tell me like, I'm here because it makes it easier for me so that I don't miss you, and I got to see you, and I'm like, wow. Like, the amount of narcissism in that situation, in that scenario, made me realize like how at some point in my life I was definitely attracted to that, you know. And by no means do I have any hate or dislike, no, because I see people with so much compassion and love, and I'm forgiving of myself and them. However, like, little does this person know, you know, like I spent countless hours like also crying and questioning myself and my worth. Like, why is this person being like this with me? Like, how come it is that like I am willing to give myself, but nobody is reciprocating that amount of like energy back, right? So, you know, and then this instance, like they try to compensate for all of that lost time, but I've already made up my mind, right? Like, I already have my mind set on loving me and coming into alignment with myself. So therefore, like, all of this unsolicited, I don't know, extravagant behavior isn't necessary, you know? But it also taught me that you have to stay, like, when you know you want something, you have to stay firm in it. Because if not, something, an energy will come and try to test you. Like, and that's what it was to me. It was like a test. It was like, are you sure you're ready? Are you sure you're gonna stick to who you are? Are you going to stick to your alignment, to your self-love, to your new proclaimed being, right? Like, are you gonna deviate from your path again, learn another lesson, and then get back on track? Like, and those are the things that you have, but it's painful. Like, I cried, and you know, I really want to give a shout out to my girl Kiki, because this is somebody who shares a lot of elemental pieces with me on a very spiritual level, and she was able to kind of like bring me back to earth and focus on all the beauty in all of this disguised tribulation. And but as this test approached, I realized the growth that I had within myself, because if I would not be strong in knowing who I am, what I desire, what I need to expand, if I didn't know the internal, or didn't have the internal balance of the inner masculine and feminine, I would have easily poured my energy back into a situation, into a person, into an idea that doesn't resonate. And that's how we deplete ourselves. That's literally how we deplete ourselves, and that is how we continuously go down a path that we don't desire. We live experiences we don't desire. And these little tests will come and come and come until you figure it out. Until you set your boundary. Until you react a different way. Until you make a sound decision based on who you are. And this all comes, you know, in phases, I feel like, because I think the tests were I was not very clear on what these tests were. And now that I'm much more like aware, I'm like, oh, like, wow, but it's so, like, it hurts to my core. It hurt to my core because I'm so, like, loving and caring. And, like, this was somebody that I truly care about. And, like, having to, like, walk away, and just, like, leave them there, like, I mean, I did it gracefully, lovingly, but I have to walk away because sometimes, like, it just isn't in alignment and you can't force something, you know. And I feel like it's gonna be something that I have to work through, because you have to realize that you have a purpose. I have a purpose. We all have a purpose. And when you don't stick to that purpose and you keep deviating, you're never gonna complete it, and the next man is gonna pick it up. It's like, not even the next man, the next whoever it is gonna pick it up. But you have a purpose, you know, and your duty is to fulfill it and break out of your own box, you know, break out of these ideas that you have to compromise your needs and desires to accommodate other people who at their time weren't ready for you, right? And that's like why I think it's like so painful, because like for me, I'm just so giving, I'm so trusting, and I'm so loving and caring. And it hurts, like when I don't get that reciprocated, right? And like, how are you gonna show up, or try to show up, or try to alleviate the pain of me, you know, realizing my worth, and then at a time when I'm so sad. Like, how is that even a thing? Like, so now you're gonna realize my worth, and that's the whole thing. Like, and that's why it's so painful, because I had to stay in my own lane. Like, no, bro. I was in your lane, but I crossed the fuck over because I got the hint, right? And now it's just like, it's bewildering to me. It's bewildering to me that I even feel guilty to choose myself. I feel guilty and like saying, I know what I want, I know what I desire. I feel guilty in that. And I think that's a program, that's a part of the programming that you have to learn. We all have to learn how to let go and release. But it's painful. It's painful. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. But yeah, I just wanted to share that. Like always, peace and love. Well, this is it. I'm about to board the flight to the Dominican Republic. Wow. I'm like, this is amazing.
Vamos, un videito aquí, un besito ahora.
So I'm here. I have to take a COVID test to go back home. So look, I'm at the Miami airport on my way to La Ciudad de Mexico, to Mexico City, to pick up the girls. I really do have like a knot in my stomach because I didn't want to leave. Like, I didn't want to leave the Dominican Republic, and it's not because of, well, of course, like the beauty, but also like the connection that I made with me balancing out who I am and then externalizing it with another human being and just like coming into alignment in a very divine way. Like, it's just so empowering, and it kind of hurt to depart, but I know that it's just like a little, quick see you later, be back. But yeah, here I am about to, head out and whatever. I'm definitely gonna do another video though to kind of go in depth on my trip, some of the things that I seen, did, as well as, discuss what this experience really taught me. Because it, like, externally, it may have just seemed like, rainbows and cupcakes, but it's always shadow work. Do you know what I mean? Always, always. So, that's it. Peace and love. So I feel like doing kind of like a this is what happened after my trip video, right? So I want to express how liberating it was to be in the Dominican Republic, living on island time, because I feel like all my life I've lived within the realm of city. Even if I lived in a small town growing up, it still was a city, you know? It was still a town. And so there was always like kind of like busyness going on. And so going and living or like being on the island for a while was liberating for me. I mean, it was only like a week and a half, like 11 days, but it was the most beautiful 11 days of my life. And not only because I met my partner and I like was able to hold him and just like see him and meet his family and, you know, be incorporated into a new community, which is so beautiful. So I really want to put everybody onto this book. I'll definitely like write it on the subtitles here, the name of the book. It was sent to me by my dear love soul sister Ashley. She sent it to me while here in Mexico, and I started reading it before I took off to the Dominican Republic, and I just am so grateful because it was like I was living a lot of parallels with the book. I haven't finished reading it, but there's like a part about community, right? And so when I like the community that I've built has been around obviously family, right? My blood family, but I have created family outside. I've built community outside, whether it was like friends, women that I've created community with. It's so liberating to live it firsthand, going to the Dominican Republic and being incorporated into a new community, because it was like a welcoming ritual when my boyfriend like met me at the airport. It was like this whole ritual, like without really, you know, like when we see these types of things, it's like, okay, these are like forms of like romanticism and like the things that we might see like on movies or like somebody else living, but then it's happening to you, so then you're like, okay, I'm not being too dramatic. But also it was something that I was experiencing as a form of ritual into a community that first off I didn't have any contact with, in like physical contact with, prior to me arriving at the airport, right? So like that became like the first ritual into this new community, into this new family. And then where I was then, you know, introduced to other parts and pieces of their family as well, right? No, muchas gracias, te lo agradezco. And so with that being said, now I'm in I've created community with a new family, a new tribe, and this community is bringing me is allowing me to see different pieces of myself, parts of myself that were otherwise dormant because I'm living out here in Mexico, like just having my brother close by, right? So me being in that family structure, in that community, I'm able to see other things, right? I'm able to see different pieces of myself, right? Like my partner, without going into too much detail, right? Because I mean, it's irrelevant to some people. However, I'm just trying to do it in a form of like explaining the situation and like the model and the reflections that I'm able to see, because this is a whole learning process for me, right? just like any type of journey, like there is a lot of learning. But for example, you know, he has siblings. In this structure of siblings, it's women, right? And I didn't grow up with like, I mean, I had one stepsister, and I didn't live with her like all my years growing up. It was like maybe 5 years, and it was very different because she had her father, so like we didn't really grow up in like the same household. But like me being able to see that firsthand, how women operate in terms of sisterhood, like actual blood sisters, and how they maneuver, it's interesting because then I'm able to take that piece and I'll also reflect on my family structure, my lineage, to see like some of the similarities and differences. And I really take every learning experience, all of my life, I've always taken everything to learn from. Like I've tried to learn how to let it be something I could learn from instead of something that traumatizes me. Something that I like to see it as an extension of me to learn from, instead of always operating from like a victim mentality and taking ownership of it, you know, because that's I think a lot of our trauma comes by us identifying with certain particular pieces of these extensions of us instead of allowing them to just be and not taking ownership and attaching ourselves to them, because they're only extensions. They're only our mirrors and are there for us to learn from. They're not necessarily there for us to identify with. We can understand them, and we can always try to, you know, take those pieces and be able to learn from them, but that doesn't mean that we have to like inherently own them. Do you know what I mean? And so as I'm able to see all of these mirrors, I'm like able to learn, but I'm also learning because I'm raising 2 women, right? 2 women. And so in this raising of 2 women, I'm also able to see like, okay, well, what can I learn about sisterhood on a bloodline level, to where, you know, that there's love, support, and unity, and that their alliance goes further than the blood, because you know, ultimately I don't want them to just identify as sisters because they're blood sisters. I want them to identify as sisters because they're sisters, because in them comes that that connection that's much deeper than blood, right? And so like as I'm seeing these mirrors and these alliances, these communities, I'm just learning. I'm really learning. And you know, in this book it also talks about like how marriage is two families being married, right? And so, you know, taking that into consideration when we create these bonds and these commitments with other people through marriage, through unity, through, you know, all of that, like these are all things that you got to look at through a very not critical lens, but be, you know, very, very proactive about. So yeah, so that's, you know, what I wanted to speak on. Peace and love.